He had fixed over 12,000 cars in 8 years, keeping families mobile when breakdowns threatened jobs, medical appointments, and school pickups. Danny Torres knew that reliable transportation wasn't luxury. It was survival for working people who couldn't afford mistakes or missed opportunities. His 24-hour garage on Whittier Boulevard had become a lifeline for East LA, where a broken car could mean a broken life. At 44, Danny was exactly what customers needed in their neighborhood mechanic: honest, skilled, and never too busy to help someone in real trouble. But when 5 cartel members stormed his garage planning to transform it into a chop shop for stolen vehicles, they awakened something that had been dormant for a decade. They had just threatened someone who'd spent 10 years defusing bombs in Iraq and Afghanistan, and who understood that some explosions were necessary to protect innocent people. Chapter 1. The Night Shift. Torres Auto Repair never truly closed. The neon 24-hour service sign buzzed in the window of the converted gas station where Danny had built something more valuable than a business. He'd created a community anchor for people who needed someone they could trust with their transportation lifelines. Danny's customers weren't wealthy. They drove 15-year-old Hondas held together by prayer and determination, pickup trucks with 300,000 miles that still hauled families to work every day, and cars that other shops wouldn't touch because the repair costs exceeded the vehicle's blue book values. Danny specialized in making the impossible affordable, finding used parts that worked, and performing mechanical miracles that kept East LA moving. His reputation had been built on reliability and fairness. When Maria Rodriguez's transmission died 2 days before her daughter's quinceañera, Danny worked through the night to rebuild it for the cost of parts. When elderly Mr. Chen's brakes failed, Danny fixed them immediately and accepted payment in installments that wouldn't strain a fixed income. But Danny's automotive expertise was only part of his qualification for serving this community. Before he became the mechanic who could diagnose problems by sound and somehow always found solutions other shops said were impossible, Danny had been Staff Sergeant Daniel Torres, United States Army Explosive Ordnance Disposal. For 10 years, Danny had been one of the military's most elite specialists, tasked with identifying and neutralizing improvised explosive devices that threatened American forces and civilian populations in Iraq and Afghanistan. His job had required him to remain calm under pressure, think systematically about complex problems, and make decisions where mistakes meant death for himself and the soldiers, depending on his expertise. The transition from defusing bombs to fixing cars had been more natural than anyone might expect. Both required technical precision, diagnostic thinking, and the ability to solve problems that others couldn't handle. The difference was that automotive repairs saved people money instead of saving their lives. Though for many of Danny's customers, reliable transportation was essential for economic survival. Danny had successfully buried his military background beneath 8 years of genuine community service. His customers knew him as someone who charged fair prices, worked honest hours, and somehow always made time for emergencies, regardless of the inconvenience to his schedule. But some training never disappears completely. It just waits quietly until circumstances make it necessary again. Tuesday night at 2:47 a.m. brought uninvited visitors to Torres Auto Repair. Danny was working late on Mrs. Garcia's Honda, a single mother's only transportation to 3 part-time jobs that barely covered rent and childcare. The engine rebuild had to be finished by morning, or she'd miss work and lose income she couldn't afford to sacrifice. 5 men entered through the service bay that Danny had left open for ventilation while welding. They moved with coordinated aggression that immediately activated threat assessment instincts Danny hadn't used in 8 years. The leader approached while his associates positioned themselves throughout the garage. "We're taking over this place. You work for us now." Danny set down his welding torch and studied the men with recognition that came from experience with violence. They were cartel operatives, professional criminals who specialized in intimidation and expected immediate compliance from civilian business owners. "This is my shop," Danny said calmly. "I serve the community, not criminal organizations." The leader laughed. "Old man, you don't understand the situation. This garage is perfect for our needs. Good location, late-night access, equipment for modifying vehicles. You can keep fixing cars, but you'll also be processing our inventory." Danny understood that inventory meant stolen vehicles that would be stripped for parts or modified for drug trafficking operations. His garage would become a criminal enterprise that would destroy the community trust he'd spent 8 years building. "Find somewhere else for your business," Danny replied. "This shop serves families who need honest work." The leader's expression hardened. "You're making this difficult. My associates will help you understand the new arrangement." 2 men moved toward Danny with weapons drawn, expecting to intimidate a civilian mechanic into compliance. What they encountered instead was someone whose military training had prepared him to neutralize multiple threats while protecting innocent people from criminal violence. Danny's response was so fast and precise that the first 2 attackers were unconscious before the others realized they were facing someone whose background extended far beyond automotive repair. "What the hell?" the leader started. But Danny was already moving toward the remaining threats with the kind of tactical awareness that had kept EOD specialists alive during the most dangerous deployments in military history. The engagement lasted 90 seconds and ended with 5 cartel members unconscious and secured, while Danny maintained his composure and immediately contacted law enforcement agencies that specialized in organized crime interdiction. As police processed the scene and federal agents began investigating the cartel's operations throughout Los Angeles, Danny realized that 8 years of peaceful civilian life had just been permanently altered in service of protecting a community that depended on his garage for more than just car repairs. The aftermath of the cartel incident revealed that Danny's garage had been targeted as part of a systematic takeover of legitimate businesses throughout East LA. The criminal organization had planned to use his 24-hour operation and trusted community reputation as cover for stolen vehicle processing and drug distribution operations. Federal investigators discovered that Danny's intervention had prevented the cartel from establishing operations that would have generated millions in illegal profits while destroying the neighborhood's character and safety. His willingness to resist criminal intimidation had protected not only his own business, but dozens of other small enterprises that would have been targeted once the cartel established their foothold. Danny's customers learned about his military background, but they also understood that his dedication to serving their community had never wavered. The same precision that had made him an expert at defusing bombs had made him exceptional at diagnosing automotive problems. The same courage that had protected soldiers from explosive threats now protected families from criminal exploitation. "Danny," said Maria Rodriguez as she picked up her daughter's car after the quinceañera, "we always knew you were special. Now we know why." Danny smiled while checking the transmission he'd rebuilt through that dangerous night. "Maria, protecting people you care about isn't special. It's what adults do. Whether that means fixing cars so families can get to work or stopping criminals who want to hurt our community, the mission is always the same." The Torres Auto Repair sign still buzzes 24 hours a day, welcoming anyone who needs honest work and fair prices. But now it also represents something more. Proof that communities are protected not just by police and soldiers, but by mechanics who understand that keeping families mobile is another form of keeping them safe. Danny Torres chose his mission, and he succeeded one repair at a time, one family at a time, one protected community at a time, in a neighborhood where cars run safely because someone who truly understands service is watching over them. Final message. Sometimes protection comes from those who fix what's broken rather than breaking what threatens us. Danny Torres proved that heroes work night shifts, charge fair prices, and defend communities not because they seek recognition, but because they understand that some places are worth protecting with everything you have. Have you met someone like Danny? Share their story in the comments. And if this reminded you that heroes fix our cars, serve our neighborhoods, and stand guard in the most ordinary places, subscribe to honor those who serve quietly while keeping us moving.